Hey guys, welcome back to Bleav in Eagles. I'm your host, Mayock, and this podcast is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. I have found out recently that I'm a way better basketball bettor than a football bettor. I can only chalk that up to it being because I play basketball and I've never played football, although I think I would have been good at football. But anyway, back to the point. I have been betting really fun little Lakers parlays. If you want to follow me on social, I've been posting a couple of them. But last night I did like a fun little 5-leg parlay and included Jared Vanderbilt's rebounds. And it was such a sneaky good pick, and I'm really proud of it. So head over to BetOnline, do some bets with me. March Madness is coming up. I might not touch March Madness because anything can happen, and crazy things always do happen. So I need a little bit more consistency in my life with that betting. I need guaranteed wins. So I might not touch March Madness, but it'll be fun if you do. So bet online and bet with me. Let me know if you got any good ones. Don't worry, this is not a basketball show. It's actually a football show. And also don't worry, this is not just me. My dad, Mike Mayock, is here. Hi, Dad. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Annie.
Do you like my bets?
I told you last time, I think you played a lot of basketball. And so I think it's a good thing that you have more confidence there.
Yeah, it's really fun, but it's addicting. But I mean, the Jared Vanderbilt thing, it was 3+ rebounds and he ended up having like 8, and he doesn't even start. It was a really good one. I'm just very proud of it. And I have to talk about it because I never know if it will happen again. But anyway, since we last spoke, the Eagles have been getting busy in free agency. Mainly what the Eagles fans are hype about right now is that the Eagles have signed Saquon Barkley to a 2-year, $41.2 million contract extension. The deal makes Saquon Barkley the NFL's first $20 million plus per year running back, which actually makes him the highest paid running back in NFL history. The Eagles did not waste any time making this happen. What does that say about the Eagles right now?
I mean, it says a couple things, Lee. Number one, they were proactive and aggressive in saying that you made a huge difference in who we are as a football team. You're in the prime of your career. We don't want any issues with you going forward, and we want to lock you up. That's point number one. I think people that are going to look at it in any way negative are going to go, Howie just opened the door for other free agents to renegotiate after 1 year of a contract, because obviously he signed a deal with the Eagles a year ago.
Signed this new contract the same year as signing his contract with them.
Effectively, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I applaud the Eagles because I think they're getting out ahead of things. And I haven't looked at the details of it. I think there was about $36 million fully guaranteed, but I haven't looked at how they structured it and where the bonus money gets paid and because the devil is in the details. So I don't know what his cap looks like.
I think the cap took his cap from 14 to 6.
Yeah. So effectively they're going to pay him. See, this is a lot of fans don't understand. Like when I was with the Raiders, we could not really restructure in large volume like other teams can.
Why?
The Eagles are unbelievable at it. The Rams, when they won their Super Bowl a couple of years, were unbelievable. New Orleans does it all the time. And you say why, and the answer was because you need an owner with a lot of cash, because effectively what you do with a restructuring is pick a number. Say Jalen Hurts is making, I don't know, $40 million, right? Okay. You say he's due $40 million, and you're going to try and restructure that $40 million by paying him out a $15 million roster bonus, and then take that 15 and string it out over 3 years. You can then lower. The reason all these restructures happen is the players love it, because that $15 million, instead of getting paid out over time, you get it today. Mm-hmm. Right? So the players are getting cash. So whenever you ask a player to restructure and not take any kind of hit, They love it because they get the money today.
Why not? Yeah.
Not over time. And what it does, it allows the team to then push that financial obligation down the road via, if it's 15 million, you got 3 years on an extension, 5 million a year. That's what it costs you against the cap. And the player gets the 15 million up front. So that's just kind of a long way of saying that that I haven't looked at the details, but I'm sure with the restructure, they were able to push some of the bonus money down the road and thereby lower the overall cap number early in the deal.
What do you think this says for the running back market?
It's what you and I have talked about all year. I mean, it's not just Saquon. And I think because of the volume of running backs that changed teams a year ago and played at a high level, I think teams are going, yeah, I don't want to be in the same position as Joe Shane was last year with the Giants. Josh Jacobs went to Green Bay and became a huge part of their offense. Joe Mixon went to Houston, became a huge part of their offense. There are examples throughout the league that if you're a special running back, like any position, you should get paid. Even though there's a good volume every year of running backs coming out of college football, my point is simple. If you're a special running back coming out of college, take the guy in the first round. Look at Jahmyr Gibbs. Look at Saquon Barkley. Look at Josh Jacobs. Look at Bijan Robinson. They're difference makers. Mm-hmm. Take them. And then secondly, if they're special, pay them. You don't want to pay them into their 30s and, because it's running backs take a beating, but there is nothing wrong with paying a number for a running back that makes a difference.
Are there any of those that caught your eye in the draft this year, running back wise?
Yeah. I mean, Ashton Genty, he's a bad dude. Love him.
Did he help himself at Combine, or was it
I think he's doing
in accordance with what he thinks?
He's doing it as pro day, I believe.
Okay.
A guy named Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, who is a big back with that helped himself and looked good. And I think there are going to be at least 2 backs going the first round this year. And again, I'm an advocate of, I don't care if you're a running back, an off the ball linebacker, or a guard. If you're a special player, you should be taken in the first round.
Well, I'm happy for Saquon, and I know everyone in Philadelphia is happy too.
Yep.
On the flip side, the Eagles also ended up releasing Darius Slay and James Bradberry.
Yep.
Just to think about Slay for a second, he was a team captain, 3 Pro Bowls, 2 conference championships, and a Super Bowl championship this year. I actually watched him. He was on TV this morning. He was on the facility this morning, and he was asked about entering free agency for the first time. And if the money were right or reasonable across the board, where would he want to land? And he said 100% back in Philly. Do you think that's a possibility?
Potentially, sure. They saved, because they designated him and also James Bradberry as June 1 designations. As far as waiving them, they can spread the salary cap pain, the dead money, over 2 years instead of 1. And that saved them about $6.4 million this year between the 2 of them. So that's one of the ways Howie got another $6.5 million for this year. There's a hole at a starting corner right now for the Eagles. And if you look at the way Slay played, and by the way, I tried to trade for him the same year the Eagles did with the Ravens.
You did?
Yeah. And we wanted to get him from Detroit, and it was a trade. Obviously, it was a trade. So there was trade compensation plus a heavy number for Slay's services, and Howie won the deal, like usual.
Wait, do you remember what the specifics were?
No, I don't remember this. I just know that I thought it was us and the Eagles, and at the end of the day, Howie and the Eagles prevailed, and like usual. And,
it sounds like that happens a lot.
Yeah. But I think what's really kind of cool is that players usually know as they get older what they might say something publicly, but I think they know what their value to a team is. And I think he knows he's lost a step. He's not the same guy that he was 5 years ago. That's fine. He still brings some value. I don't think he's a high-level starter, but he could probably still start.
And considering that room it is filled with young guys, don't you think he's lends himself to being in that locker room, a veteran presence in that?
I think it all depends on how the Eagles feel about the young backup corners that they have. For instance, if they think Kaylee Ringo or Eli Ricks is ready to step in this year and play as well as Slay, plus or minus, why wouldn't you go with the young guy and let him go and develop him and get starter snaps for him? Isaiah Rodgers is a free agent this year. They might re-sign Isaiah Rodgers, who's already proven that he can still play on the outside. So I think Slay's I'm sure he's in the conversation with the Eagles at a certain number, but a lot of it depends on what they think about these young backups.
Okay. Did you expect them to release Darius Slay?
I did.
Okay. Is there a place off the top of your head right now that you could see him landing?
I think teams are always looking for a potential starting corner. Okay. And again, he's not a difference maker, but he's smart. He's instinctual. He can fill a need, right? He can plug a hole for a team that needs a starting corner for a year. But his skills are diminishing, and you worry about him physically also. So if it's not Philadelphia, I'm sure he'll play somewhere.
Are there different schemes that he would fit more so than others?
Well, I think the days of him just jumping into press coverage and doing nothing but press for a whole game are probably past. He was always a long corner that could play press man. And I think he's smart, instinctual, has good eyes on a quarterback, understands what offenses are trying to do to him. So depending on, if you're just a pure press man, cover one team, probably not. If you're a team that plays a little more zone and relies more on instincts, then that's probably him.
Okay. Do you expect there to be Howie to make any other moves during free agency right now?
Well, they've got, I don't know, about $22 million, I think, in available cap space right now, and he could always restructure more. And if you look out to next year and the year after, the Eagles have a significant amount of cap space. They're amazing the way they're able to maneuver all the rules and stay competitive every year and sign people. So
the reason I asked is because the streets are talking, and the Philadelphia people want Myles Garrett. Do you think that would be a likely thing or a possibility or a good fit? What do you think?
Streets can talk all they want. I've heard people talking Myles Garrett. I've heard people talking Maxx Crosby.
Well, we can get into that in a second because that's not happening.
Well, all he did was sign an extension. And it's not a whole lot different than what the Eagles would have to do for Myles Garrett. They'd have to sign him to an extension probably also. And the Raiders already did it for him. But Cleveland has said nothing. Well,
then talk to me about that then. Talk to me about Max.
Well, I think the more important thing right now is the big picture, whether it's Myles Garrett or Max, is neither of them is available at this point. Okay, so it's been really consistent coming out of Cleveland that we're not interested. That can always change. Okay, and you can say that all you want, but if a team calls and says, we'll give you 2 1s, a 2, and 2 starting players, you got to listen, right? So I think Cleveland is smart enough, and I really like their people. They'll listen, but right now they'd have to blow them away. Myles Garrett's 29 years old. He's probably the most dominant defensive player in the game today. Max is 27, I think. He is one of the most dominant players in defensive football today. They both play the same position, and the reason Philadelphia people care is obviously the threat of Sweat leaving, right? So I think because they won the championship and Howie's riding high in everybody's minds, everybody's like, what's Howie going to do? And to be honest with you, I don't think anybody knows but Howie. If I knew, I'd probably still be a GM. I wouldn't have got fired.
Maybe if you had won that Darius Slay trade, things would be really different right now.
Highly doubt it.
But in terms of what they've done so far versus what you saw at Combine too, and what we might see at Pro Days, do you still think that the Eagles will probably go tight end wise in the draft and look for other positions in free agency?
Honey, I have no idea what they're going to do until.
I know, I'm just asking your opinion. Like, what do you think they're going to do based on the move that they've made right now?
I don't know. Is really the honest.
What would you do,
honey? Listen to me, okay? The bottom line here is that everybody in Philly knows who their main free agents are, right? What we don't know is the Eagles' plan to attack that. I told you that what I think they should do, if it was me, was if I can't sign both Milt Williams and Josh Sweat, I would go put my money on Milt Williams. He's 3 years younger, he's healthy, and he's coming into the prime of his career. He's only 25 years old, and I think he's got a chance to be special, especially next to Jalen Carter, right? Josh Sweat is 28. He had some knees coming out of Florida State. He's playing really well. He's at the high end. Somebody's going to pay him. But if I had to choose between them, I would want Milt Williams.
Okay. That's all I was asking you.
Well, I told you that like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but things change.
No. Nothing's changed other than some additional salary cap space.
All right.
Next week is when.
I love when this happens to us. Breaking news. Thanks, Adam Schefter. Eagles are re-signing All-Pro linebacker Zack Baun to a 3-year, $51 million contract, including $34 million guaranteed at signing. Yeah, we got Zack back! Yes. This is now just a Zack Baun appreciation podcast. This is the best news ever. Are you kidding me? Dad, are you hyped? Thank you, Howie. Thank you, football gods. Yes, this is what I wanted. This is sick.
You done? You good?
Yeah, it makes him one of the highest paid linebackers in the NFL. Whew.
It's funny. Getting ready for your show today, I had a bunch of notes here. One of them is Zack Baun. He'll be 29 during next season. He played this year at $3.5 million on a 1-year deal. And to sign him, they're probably going to need a $15 to $18 million average. What did you say the deal was? Like 51, 3?
Yeah.
4? What is it?
Hold on. I was too excited. I forget. $51 million.
Over how many years?
3-year, $51 million, including $34 million guaranteed at signing and an additional $1.5 million in incentives and escalators.
So I said 15 to 18 as an average, which I guess it is, in 1 to 2 years a guarantee. Looks like he got a 2-year guarantee approximately. So he's not at the top end of that market, which is Roquan Smith, but he's right up there with the big dogs in the penthouse. So could not be happier for Zack Baun. And we talked about him about a month ago, and I don't think there was any way that the Eagles wanted to let him out the door. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's any way Zack Baun didn't want to be there. He finally found a guy that loved him in Vic Fangio and took advantage of what he does. You know, it's a match that's made for both of them.
This is awesome. I mean, this is awesome. This is exactly what we needed to do. We needed to make sure we re-signed Zack Baun, and he deserves every penny.
Well, I'm happy you're so excited. I kind of figured it was going to get done. To me, the bigger issue now is Milt Williams and Sweat. What are they going to do there?
Okay.
And then Mekhi Becton.
All right. Well, we're checking some boxes. Going down the list. Howie's making moves. Honestly, I would love to study. I want to know a day in the life of Howie Roseman.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun? Or maybe Dom. A day in the life with Dom. That would probably be more exciting.
Dom's kind of intriguing.
Right. Okay, wait. So Zack Baun, that's the most exciting thing ever. But the other thing I was so excited about that happened about 5 minutes before we started recording today, Raider Nation, the Raiders have made Maxx Crosby the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL, a 3-year deal worth $106.5 million with $91.5 million guaranteed. How about that, Ted? That was your draft pick. That's your guy. How proud are you of him?
Well, I mean, it was our draft pick and our guy. Gruden loved him. I loved him.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I say that.
I know. I'm just clarifying. I think everybody in the organization loved because he just jumped off the tape. And he's turned into this, like he's put weight on in a really good way. We've talked about the struggles he had with sobriety, which I think makes it even more special. I think his wife is a very special woman and has
Shout
helped
out Rachel.
I think has really helped him get where they are. And now they're parents and they got the big dogs in the house and they're, I just think in Maxx Crosby's world, he is so focused on trying to become a Hall of Fame football player and help them become a Super Bowl champion that I hope that there's some stability for Max with Pete Carroll and John Spytek and Tom Brady so that there's, Max is like 27. If he's going to be a career Raider, he's got 3, 4, 5, whatever numbers of really good years left. I hope they have an ability to support him and give him a chance to play in the type of games that he wants to play in.
So considering the Raiders just made that move, and they also just signed offensive lineman Alex Kappa.
Yeah.
I know that's a small. Those are two small things in the larger scheme of things of free agency and what they're going to do in draft. But considering those moves that they made, do you think Raiders are going to be aggressive across the board? What do you think what's necessary or important to them at this point?
Well, I think from a free agent's perspective, they're second or third in the league in available cap space.
So why did they have it and you didn't?
Oh, we had some cap space and we saved some money. We just couldn't restructure contracts.
Oh.
So there's different levels of this conversation, but they have, I think, the second most cap space in the entire league. They can be really aggressive. Now, Alex Cap, I want to say he's 29 or 30 years old. He was a 3rd-round pick by Tampa Bay. He's played well, went to Cincinnati, played well. He was a cap casualty just this week. So keep in mind who drafted him was Tampa Bay, and the new Raiders GM is John Spytek.
Yep.
So he was involved with that draft pick.
Oh.
So he knows him. So he can go to Pete and say, hey, Pete, I know this guy, I trust him. He went to Humboldt State College. This is who he is, this type of player he is. He'll fit right into what we're trying to develop from a toughness and maturity perspective. So I think it's a real good signing.
What do you think Max needs now, though? Like, what are the most important players to make sure he has around him now? Quarterback?
Well, right now it's all about the quarterback. I mean, they cut Gardner Minshew yesterday or day before. That saves them some salary cap. That leaves Aiden O'Connell as kind of their guy. I think we all know that they've got to look at every free agent option out there, Sam Darnold and Justin Fields and all those kind of guys. In addition to picking at number 6 and doubling down potentially with signing a veteran and either drafting a rookie quarterback at number 6 or moving up and getting a rookie quarterback because they need answers at that position. And until they get a difference maker at that position, the rest of it doesn't matter.
Okay.
And I shouldn't even say that it does matter because you need to sign a lot of good players. But ultimately, if the goal is to win a Super Bowl, they got to get that quarterback.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Do you think that's Shador?
Do I think what?
Do you think that's Shador, one of those options?
I think that a lot of people are intrigued with Cam Ward. I think that in the first 7 picks of the draft, and remember the Raiders are picking number 6. In the first 7 picks of the draft, there are 5 heavy quarterback needs, including 1, 2, and 3. Yep. Tennessee needs a quarterback at 1, Cleveland at 2, the Giants at 3, the Vegas at 6, and the Jets at 7. So most people think there's only 2, quote, first-round quarterbacks. I think Jackson Dart is in the conversation now, and I think he's similar to Shador in how they play the game. So it would not surprise me at all if 3 quarterbacks went. There's also a kid from Louisville named Tyler Shuck that is making some waves justifiably. I'm not ready to say he's a first-round quarterback, but he's another guy that's rising through this process. And so the Raiders are interesting because they have a lot of money to spend, and they've got the number 6 overall draft pick.
Yeah, and it's hard to predict what they're going to do because they have an entire new staff again.
Yeah, but I think it's safe to say with Tom Brady involved that not most of, but a lot of what they're doing is trying to figure out how to come out of this offseason with a quarterback that can be their guy for the future.
Okay. Makes sense. Well, step 1, re-sign and extend your best player, and they did.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so happy for Max. All right. I'm just really like riding a high right now because I can't get the Zack Baun news out of my head.
I can tell. It's a great get. It's a wonderful thing for the Eagles and for Zack Baun. And
just such a great story.
Yeah. But I think what it also does is it shows the Eagles that they were willing, the Eagles players, that their organization is willing to step up and play a guy who clearly deserved it, even though it was only 1 year. Then they pay Saquon after 1 year. I think the hard part is now going to Milt Williams and Josh Sweat and Mekhi Becton, and how do you fit all those guys in? It'll be really the next week and a half are going to be really interesting because Monday is the quote tampering 2-day tampering window, and by Wednesday of next week you'll have a really good idea of where a majority of the high-level guys have gone.
Well, maybe we'll break Milton and Sweat news next week when we're recording.
There you go.
Seems to be a theme.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Exciting news for Philly fans. Things are looking good in this offseason, and Howie's doing work as usual. So we will catch you back next week. Thanks, Dad.
You got it, honey. Bye.